I don't even know if I want to do the actual intro. I'm just so bummed. So I'm just gonna start it here. So yeah, there's been a lot of news tonight from Nintendo's investor meeting. I'll go over it real quick. There's really not that much to go over, but most of it's pretty crushing. So Nintendo announced that the Nintendo NX is coming out in March of next year, and they will be unveiling it later this year, which will include the price, release details, as well as launch games. So that's good. We'll get more information about that. Now, as part of all of this, they announced that Zelda Wii U will in fact be an NX title, and as such, it's also going to be delayed till next year. They didn't specify when, but it will be coming to both the NX and Wii U next year at the same time. And they also announced that Zelda Wii U will be the only playable game at E3, and that the NX will not be shown at all. So, there's a couple other things here, like some mobile announcements of the Animal Crossing Fire Emblem, but at this point, we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, man, tonight's been rough, dude.
Dude, man, dude.
Man, dude.
Yeah, it's, I'm very much against taking a reactionary bent with stuff like this. Like, I don't want to be one of those, negative reactionists who's just like, this is a disaster and horrible and Nintendo's doomed. And I mean, they're not doomed, but this is really depressing. I'm not going to go out and say this is the worst thing in the world and what are they thinking and they're run by idiots. But this is like legitimately disappointing and kind of concerning to me.
It is. I mean, I said to you, basically, like, long term, this probably won't end up mattering much, if at all.
Yeah.
Short term, it is perhaps the most crushing I don't think I've been this disappointed in Nintendo ever. I don't know. Like, this is unprecedented, I think. Like, the fact that Zelda is the only game at E3, the fact that, nothing is of note, really, that we don't know about is coming out this year, as far as we know. I don't know, maybe they'll have something else at E3, but at least in the... during their direct or whatever they end up doing. Who knows?
I think the biggest takeaway for me about all this is the fact that Zelda is going to be the only thing at E3 and that NX won't be. Individually, the fact that Zelda and NX were both delayed to 2017, individually, those don't strike me as all that surprising.
No, it's not.
Yeah, I think March 2017 for the NX release is more surprising than the overall delay to 2017. Mm-hmm. So those things, I'm like, okay, you know what? Oh, wow, that happened, but I'm not really all that surprised. But the fact that their E3 is only going to have Zelda and there's going to be no NX there, I mean, that would have been the perfect time to show it off to developers. That would have been the perfect time to really, show the public what it's all about. Now, it sounds like they're going to have a separate unveiling event later this year for it, kind of like what Sony did with the PS4. But I don't know. I mean, I will say that a huge reason for my hype for E3 this year has now just been instantly deflated. I mean, we were all completely sure that we were going to see the NX revealed at E3.
Yeah. That seemed to be a safe assumption.
and I mean, why not show things like, the Paper Mario Color Splash? I mean, that just, obviously it's still in development, but it's weird that they're not going to show anything else off for the Wii U.
Well, yeah, it's still in development, but by the time of E3, it'll be at most 5 months away from release.
Well, that's my whole point. So why not show it off at E3?
Exactly.
Like, it's very strange that they're not showing off any other Wii U software.
It feels to me like Nintendo's basically writing off E3. It feels like it doesn't matter to them anymore. Maybe maybe it could be a one-time thing, or maybe this is a look at a new Nintendo where they really just go by a beat of a different drum completely. And to be fair, we have seen some degrees of separation with other companies too in regards to distancing themselves from E3. Like with a few companies not having press conferences at all this year, I believe, right? Some of the third parties.
Right.
I mean, who knows? Who knows what to read into this? All I know is that this E3, at least, in terms of what we cover, is lining up to be just a gigantic disappointment. I mean, I'm sure Zelda will be great. I'm sure it'll be awesome. That's still just one game.
But it's still one game, and it's like, I think we kind of possibly assumed that there were at least a couple more titles in development for Wii U that we didn't know about, to kind of stem the tide until
Pikmin 4
NX.
even.
I kind of figured Pikmin 4 would be an NX title.
Well, I had too, but at this point, you would think that might have been a better, at least something to fill in the gap this year.
Well, and like we said, there might still be. We don't really know yet. That's why I try to avoid being too reactionary. But at this particular moment in time, it's very troubling to me that it really does seem like. Well, the idea I'm getting from this is that possibly Nintendo straight up they have so many of their engineers and developers tied up in the NX. They straight up do not have what they need to show off for the Wii U. They don't. Maybe it seems worse to them to show both Zelda and Paper Mario if that's all they have, instead of just saying, you know what, let's push the fact that we really only have Paper Mario under the rug and just make this all about this, you know, quote unquote immersive Zelda experience. I mean, that would be probably the most harmless way they could go about kind of hiding that fact. You know what I mean?
I do. I mean, I'm just wondering to what extent they're even going to have a digital event this year. Because
me too. Yeah,
they have. I mean, unless they have a ton of unannounced stuff for the existing platforms, they have nothing. From what I can gather, they have, you know, Paper Mario, as you mentioned. They have Pokemon Sun and Moon, which would be big. They have Federation Force, and Zelda Wii U.
Yeah. Well, and they have Rhythm Heaven, which isn't that big, obviously.
It is. I mean, at this point, that's something. Like anything at this point is good for them.
That's true. I mean, now, of course, this isn't discounting all the third parties. You know, especially for the 3DS. That's a funny joke. Well, for 3DS, not Wii U, obviously. Yeah. But I mean, we don't know yet that there won't be any third-party Wii U presence there. There might be. I mean, we do have Tokyo Mirage Sessions coming. So that's, you know, an example of something like that, and that's coming right after.
I mean, that's true, but it's already out in Japan.
That's true too. Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, yeah, it doesn't feel like there's going to be much, if any, more support for the Wii U after this. It's very strange they didn't address it.
And that's what we expected. I mean, we naturally expected this. I mean,
we did, but not in tandem.
The NX to come out this year.
Exactly. We didn't expect that in tandem with the NX coming out in March 2017.
The weird thing is, like, this whole thing is so bizarre because, like, delaying it to March, or maybe I shouldn't call it a delay because who knows when it was originally planned to come out, but announcing it for March, ultimately not that big of a deal. That's only 4 months out for a new platform. In the grand scheme of things, not that big of a deal.
And the biggest deal about it is that they're missing the holiday season.
Yeah, that's the biggest deal about it, and it's also coming at the expense of E3 as well.
Right.
So it's just this just everything about this. Like, I'm still processing it because this is so unusual.
It really is.
Having one playable game at E3 is, as far as I know, is completely unprecedented for a major platform.
It's definitely not doing them any favors in terms of the way people already view them, and like the way
it's not.
the way even the way enthusiasts view them, but it's just kind of the joke and the rhetoric, the overall rhetoric surrounding Nintendo right now. This is only going to further that.
It is.
This isn't, I don't think this is instilling most people with any sort of confidence in what they're up to. But again, that isn't to say that they are screwed. I don't think they are. I just think that maybe this reads to me as incredibly tone deaf.
It absolutely does. And like, I would love to know what the internal process was. Like, what went down that led to this? Where, I mean, Nintendo. This is such, again, this is so bizarre because historically Nintendo's announced their systems really early, and even the E3 reveal this year, assuming it came out later this year, would have been pretty much an unprecedented amount of time, or a really short amount of time for Nintendo for a major console. They've done similar things for handhelds, but at this point, I guess we all know when they're going to reveal the NX, but I would guess it's not going to be until much later in the year. And
probably not.
Yeah.
So, you know what would be interesting though? What if they brought back Space World?
It's possible. I mean,
that would be so cool, though.
That would be cool.
I wouldn't even be mad about that. That would be pretty cool.
Oh, and I feel like that's what they want to do now. Is they are treating this. I mean, I feel like they are going polar opposite of what they did with the Wii U. Wii U was announced way early, like a year and a half early. They are doing the exact opposite. They're going to put this on a really tight timetable. And all this might also explain why we've heard absolutely no leaks about the NX, because no one knows anything, probably.
Well, and maybe they're really taking the advice, that they really needed to do the opposite of what they did with the Wii U's marketing and announcement to heart, and really that's why we're seeing this kind of extreme, kind of display of something different from Nintendo.
So I think, and I'm sure that is. So not only are they operating on a smaller timetable, but I think perhaps they also just want the focus to be purely on the NX when they are ready to talk about it, as opposed to competing with the PS4K and whatever Xbox is doing, and everything else. Maybe they just want, again, like, it gets back to the whole separating themselves from E3, and I wonder if this might be a sign of things to come, or if it really is just a one-time anomaly.
Man, you know who's going to be furious about this? Derek. Because we were just talking about how excited he was that we didn't have to wonder what the NX was much longer. That, the E3 is almost here. He's so sick of the rumors. The rumors are so stupid. Let's
You're right.
I just want to hear the truth. And I'm like, well, yeah, don't worry, man, because E3 is coming, so we're not going to have to worry much longer. Oops. I guess I shouldn't have said that quite yet.
He's sleeping right now. He's going to be in for a rude awakening tomorrow.
Oh, sleep well, little prince.
Oh my god. Yeah, so this is a really just a weird thing. Like, again, I'm still processing this, but again, I think in the long term, like, if I'm taking a truly objective stance on this, it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter. Short term, it sends a terrible message. It sends a really bad message. It almost seems like Nintendo does not have any of their crap together at this point.
It really, it does feel very tumultuous in there. Like, I can almost guarantee you that, or not guarantee, but I would be willing to bet that a lot of this or none of this has anything to do with Nintendo of America. That they had nothing. They probably didn't want this news to come down this way, and are probably dreading the fact that it did.
Yeah.
Because this feels like a Nintendo Japan decision. Like, the way this all went down, I feel like it was very much Japan-centric. Mm-hmm. And the way this news is being received by fans now, of course, in the US and Europe, they're getting ready to weather the storm. That's how I'm reading this, the way this has kind of gone down.
That would not surprise me in the slightest. Yeah, that's not terribly surprising. Yeah, well, I guess one good piece of news out of this, or not even news, but Nintendo released a new piece of concept art for Zelda Wii U and NX, and it looks cool. Like, it looks, like, I mean, at the least, it's still in line with what we've seen before the game.
Right.
So they haven't gone completely back to the drawing board for it.
Yeah, so I mean, definitely what we've seen so far is it hasn't really changed too much in terms of its overall look or concept.
Yeah.
It seems, which, that's good that that sends a message at least that they have a solid concept for the game and have been sticking to that for the last several years, and they're not really scrambling at the 11th hour to come up with something.
Now, speaking of scrambling, though, it's really weird that they didn't announce a release date for Zelda, and half of me thinks it's still going to be a launch title, but half of me thinks maybe it won't. Maybe it'll be next year's holiday title.
God, if this is delayed all the way to holiday 2017, right. I mean, that's unreal. It is unreal. That can't be the case, because the Wii U is not going to be a thing by then.
It won't be, and maybe but
then there's that other thing that Kimishima said about how the NX won't just replace, or what was it, his exact words were, won't simply replace the Wii U and 3DS.
That is such a load of horse crap. Without even fully knowing what the NX is at this point, just knowing that it's capable of playing Zelda NX, right. That is such a load of horse crap. The only way I can literally see that... Actually, can you read that quote again real quick? Exactly.
I think that, I was reading from... I was remembering from, memory, but I think it was the NX won't simply replace the 3DS and Wii U.
Okay, so maybe he means that, completely literally, in that it won't replace both the 3DS and Wii U.
I mean, it's actually a very, very smart way to say it, because there's so many ways that statement can be read. It's actually kind of maddening.
But no, I totally expect this to be just the Nintendo DS all over again, where they said the exact same thing, where it wouldn't replace the GBA, and sure enough, it did.
That's what it feels like to me. It feels like PR kind of just showboating.
And there's no way it can't... I mean, by default, it replaces the Wii U, because the Wii U's dead. Unless they have... I mean, I think that by fact of them only having Zelda Playable at E3 is an admission of this fact. The Wii U is dead. There's nothing more major coming to it. I don't think there's going to be any major titles released more beyond what we already know. There might be some smaller eShop titles or something. I think we know all the big stuff coming to it. So, yeah, I don't buy that for a second. But there is...
Well, hey, there's Mighty Number 9. Which probably won't be out by the time the Wii U is dead, is my whole point.
That is so true.
Yeah.
And actually, there is one final thing I want to bring up here in regards to the release date. Something that is interesting about this is, as far as I know, at least in recent memory, of the last 3 major consoles, they've all been released toward the end of the year. Whereas Nintendo has oftentimes released their handhelds, or at times released their handhelds earlier in the year, with the GBA.
Yeah.
Do you think it's possible this isn't a console and maybe it is a handheld of some kind?
It's certainly possible. I mean, that's the thing, is that we have to get set for several more months of speculating, because all we know about the thing is that it's like this crazy mystery miracle machine. It has to be, because there's so much mystery surrounding it.
There is.
We don't know what this damn thing is. Hopefully it raises the dead or something, because this thing is just like, what is it at this point?
God, I know.
And the fact that it's now, again, it hasn't been delayed because they never announced a date for it, but the fact that it's weird. Like, they didn't push it that far into 2017, yet they obviously must be, shaky enough. Their confidence in it must be shaky enough that they don't want to show it off at E3, but then it's supposed to be right by March. Like, that doesn't add up.
I agree. Like, it doesn't add up.
So
I mean,
weird.
Maybe they have really big expectations for it, and they want to fulfill all that initial demand, unlike how they were able to with the Wii. But I don't see that. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it really could just be that they didn't want to have to compete for media attention with the PS4, Neo, and whatever the Xbox One thing is. So maybe they really were just like, you know what, we could show it off now, but we really like our Nintendo Directs. We want to be able to capture our audience on our own terms and dominate the airwaves.
And again, if it doesn't end up being handheld, I'm not saying it is. I'm not even saying I believe it. But who knows at this point anymore? I did not expect any of this news today.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's not a handheld.
I don't think so either. I agree. I don't think so either. But if we're looking at the release dates, though, Nintendo has only really released their handhelds at that time of year.
That's true too.
And so in that sense, I could see why they're doing it. They have a proven track record with releasing handhelds then, and it hasn't ultimately affected their long-term success, as far as I know. At the same time, I also don't think... I think you can release a console at almost any time, and just by virtue of it being a console launch, it would do well.
Right.
But, again, who knows?
I mean, hey, what if the NX handheld in March and then the NX console for holiday 2017? I don't think that's going to be the case.
That would mirror the GameCube or the GBA and GameCube launch.
That's true.
Same year, March for GBA and November for GameCube. And to add on to all this theory, again, which I may not fully buy myself, but the fact that they're showing Zelda on Wii U this year, despite there being an NX version, maybe the NX version isn't automatically a definitive better version. Maybe it is just the Wii U version being played on a handheld console, which would be impressive for a handheld. Yeah, but also wouldn't undermine the fact that the Wii U one is also a version that exists.
Yeah, and man, they really kind of backed themselves to a corner with that one, because that is really kind of like a kind of a crappy screw you to Wii U fans to have to delay that version of the game for the NX.
Well, people were complaining about only having a 4-year life cycle.
Yeah, I know.
A little bit more.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, exactly. But it's kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't, because Wii U fans should be upset that this new game that was intended for the Wii U is now being delayed to coincide with the NX. That sucks. But at the same time, this is the only new console Zelda they've had in the last 5 or 6 years now. It will have been 5 or 6 years. So, I can absolutely see why they would think risking, the ire of Wii U owners is worth kind of letting Zelda kind of trumpet the Wii U trumpet the NX and vice versa.
Now, Nintendo did say, though, according to them, they're delaying Zelda not to coincide with the NX, but because they needed more time to polish the game. Do you buy that?
Right. I mean, at this point, it's hard. We don't even know anything about it. That's what's hard. We don't know anything about what Zelda NX is or Wii U is. So, if it really is like this Skyrim-sized open-world game, then yes, I believe it. Mm-hmm. But if it's not, and it's more in terms of... if the changes and the revolutionary changes they're talking about bringing to Zelda with this game are more like the ones they made for Skyward Sword, then no, I don't buy it. I mean, the whole thing is weird. I mean, we even had Nintendo of America's Twitter account just randomly tweeting out in 2 in the morning Pacific Standard Time that, by the way, Nintendo, the future of Nintendo, the NX hardware, whatever, is coming out in March 2017. Nothing about any of this makes sense right now.
No.
This is the weirdest night.
Isn't it? It really is. Like, nothing about this makes sense at all. I mean,
I blame Derek. If he was up, none of this would have happened.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's all Advid Nerd GX's fault.
Yeah. This whole thing is so weird to me.
It is. I mean, I am still processing this. Like, I'm coping with this. This is such a bizarre series of events, especially with how this news came out. It was just disappointment after disappointment after disappointment.
It really was just kind of just one gut punch after another, and it's like, well, this is kind of I was kind of hyped for tonight. Like, maybe we'll get nothing, and nothing would have been better, honestly.
It would have.
Nothing would have been so much better. But I was like, maybe we'll get nothing. Maybe we'll get some little tease of something. No, let's just drop bomb after bomb after bomb.
And not the good kind of bomb, like the worst possible kind of bomb.
Yeah, like actual bombs. Yeah. Although, like in the midst of all this, dreariness, I do want to remind people that there was all that recently how Emily Rogers said that the development cycle for the NX first-party software is supposedly going to be quite fast, and that from what she's heard, there is a lot of great stuff to look forward to on the NX. Now, of course, we don't know. That's a rumor. But Emily Rogers has been pretty legit in the past. So that makes me that kind of brings me back to what you said, Andre, about it being not a big deal in the long term. I don't think this necessarily spells doom and gloom for the NX or the possible software for the NX. I do think this sucks right now, but we still may be looking at a really impressive next generation of Nintendo once we've weathered this current storm.
I mean, I totally agree with that. I mean, once the NX comes out, people are going to forget it was ever, that it was delayed, or forget that it mattered, because it won't at that point.
Oh, unless it's a disappointment.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the thing is, I think even delaying it arguably would enhance their lineup, like by pushing all their games into a 9-month period for next year. That automatically is going to result in a better lineup than it would otherwise.
Right.
But it does mean they're going to have a very lean remainder of 2016. And, for me, I'm like, what are we going to cover? There is nothing for us to cover this year.
Yeah. It really is. I mean, God, so then what then happens to, do they have an E3 Direct? We don't really know if they're going to have an E3 digital event. I mean, one would assume that Mother 3 is going to be announced, but who knows, what they're even thinking now.
Yeah, this whole thing is weird because they did, they could do a digital event. They could still, even though they said there would be no NX, they won't talk about the NX, maybe they could have a tease or something. But I think they said something similar with Zelda, didn't they, before? There will be no Zelda coverage here. And then they had a little clip from it, I think, right?
True, yeah. So there could be a little something.
There could be a little tease of the NX, maybe not the console itself, but maybe showing off, I don't know if they'd even show off Zelda NX. Something Zelda NX, or something NX related maybe. I have no idea. I'm just spitballing at this point.
Yeah, I have to. Well, didn't they did confirm at the end of the championships last year that they were going to come back for this year, correct? I feel like they announced early on last year.
I think I heard that, but I think that was I think people were misinterpreting something. I don't think that was confirmed.
Because if the championships are confirmed to come back this year, then that would suggest that at least probably they'll announce Mother 3 there, because that's what they did with Earthbound Beginnings.
Yeah, at this point, I've said this before, they have to do this, and clearly whatever they have to do, they don't. So, but
that's true. Again, it's not the 2017 delay. I think we're all just shell shocked that it's not going to be at E3.
Yeah, that really is a bigger issue, the bigger surprise here. Just their E3 is looking to be extremely lean. I can't imagine whatever digital event they end up having being any more than 20 minutes at this point. If even that. Everything, unless they have some major announcements for their existing platforms, there is nothing to talk about. Well,
and like you said, too, in terms of the games we cover, typically, our E3 work might be incredibly light this year.
Oh, it's going absolutely. If Zelda's the only playable thing, we'll have that knocked out in no time.
Yeah, exactly. So we really might. I guess that gives us more time to. I don't know.
Well, I guess we can finally hang out and play Smash this year.
Yeah, actually, hang out, just play on the Miiverse stage and get Game of Thrones spoilers.
Okay.
Man, this is all weird.
It is, man. It's disappointing. Again, long term, I don't think it's going to matter. Short term, it sucks. It sucks a lot. It's disappointing. It does not send a good message for Nintendo. It really makes you wonder, what have they been doing all this time? They came in ready just for 4 months earlier to release.
I would love to be a fly in the wall in there right now, just in meetings, just kind of figuring out, just to know what is actually going on, because it sure feels like there's something is off.
Well, I guess there is one other thing they could talk about at E3 they haven't touched on yet, and that is the fact that they could talk about their upcoming mobile games, which they confirmed 2 of them are going to include Fire Emblem and Animal Crossing games. And it sounds like they're actually going to stick somewhat close to the source material, because they actually said Fire Emblem, I believe, would be an RPG experience.
Right.
And both those seem like great fits for the platform. Animal Crossing, of course, is a very slow-paced, casual game. Fire Emblem is a turn-based game, which again lends itself well to a touchscreen interface. We've seen that already.
I honestly could not have handpicked 2 Nintendo franchises more suited to mobile.
Right? They're perfect.
Than those 2 games. Yeah, honestly, they really are. And I think they also said the Animal Crossing mobile title would feature some sort of connectivity between the versions of the game for dedicated gaming hardware. So I don't know if that means Animal Crossing New Leaf particularly, but whatever Animal Crossing game is coming up.
Well, if they didn't specify a platform, then I would presume that would mean a future Animal Crossing. Probably.
So perhaps, Animal Crossing NX.
And that's awesome. That makes so much sense, being able to connect those games. I do wonder to what extent these games, to what extent Animal Crossing will be an Animal Crossing game. How close to the games as we know it will it be, or will it be like a spin-off type thing along the lines of like Happy Home Designer, which is more what I'm expecting. Maybe not quite that to that level of simplicity, but something
the way you have like hands-on control over your character at all times. No, I know what you mean. Or if would it be closer to something like Miitomo, but maybe with a little more interactivity?
Well, actually, I'm looking at the press release right now. They literally say, compared to Miitomo, they have more prominent game elements, and the game content will tie closely into, as you mentioned, Nintendo's dedicated game consoles.
Yeah.
Which is awesome, because like Miitomo, I haven't even bothered with it after the first 2-3 days.
Yeah. I know, but we were talking about that.
Yeah, there was no game there, which is fine. Didn't necessarily need to be a game. I just didn't find anything about that compelling.
Right.
So I think having this be more of a game is great. That's awesome. And I also think these will have to come out. At least Animal Crossing will have to come out before the NX version, which means I expect both these this year.
Oh, I think they said they're targeting autumn.
Did they specify that?
Yeah, I think that was specified.
Oh, you're right. I'm looking at it here. So that's awesome. Great.
Yeah. So there you go. That means we have 2 more mobile titles that we know about still in development beyond that.
I mean, I'm just looking at 2 more Nintendo games for us to cover at all.
That's true, yeah. So. But it may not be. There's still going to be plenty of third-party 3DS titles to go over. But it may not be as dire as it seems right now. I think we'll need to wait and see what's going on with the digital event. If they say, "Hey, guess what? There's no digital event this year," then I think we can go all in with the worst case scenario.
Would you be surprised at this point if there is no digital event?
I don't know. I would be, but at the same time, I kind of wouldn't.
I know, right?
It's weird because I don't know. I would be, but I'm also kind of surprised they haven't done a direct kind of around now before E3. So I feel like.
Well, I think we know why now. Actually,
we know why.
Well, that's a great point. I think they will have a digital event.
That's what I'm thinking. Is because they haven't had a direct.
Exactly.
Yeah. So they have to have, they got to spread it out as much as they can.
Oh my god. If people thought last year's Direct was rough, this year, well, I don't know. They'll have Zelda released. That will be a highlight. Everything else besides Zelda is going to be rough, I think.
Maybe we'll get Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival DLC.
Yeah. Oh my god. Although I guess Pokemon will also be a highlight too. So
yeah, I mean I think that is important not to discount. Pokemon Sun and Moon are going to be massive.
And that's probably going to be. I guess there's going to be a blowout on Koro soon, I believe. But this might be like the first huge blowout we have of the game.
Right.
So I think the highs. Yeah, from what we know, the highs I think will be higher than what they were last year. Mm-hmm. But there's going to be less overall, from what I can tell.
Yeah, it definitely seems like that.
Yeah. Wow, this is interesting. Well, anything else, Ash? Anything else you want to touch on? Anything else we forgot to mention here? Anything else at all you want to bring up before we wrap it up?
I think we covered it. There was just so much coming at us, rapid fire.
Yeah.
I think we covered everything.
I think we did. Yeah. Again, I mean, I just want to stress, this sucks right now, but long term, I don't think it's going to matter that much. So, I mean, who knows? Watch, maybe it will. Maybe not launching in November is a huge mistake for them, and NX just bombs out the game.
Well, that's actually a really good point, is that if anything, what it does is it just makes the NX's launch that much more critical. I mean, this really puts a lot more pressure on the NX to be incredible and not disappoint, because now that it's been pushed to 2017 with what seems to be a huge lack of content coming out from Nintendo in between there, that if it's delayed, not delayed, if it comes out in March 2017 and it's a disappointment, then that's that much more of a disaster.
Yeah.
So there is that effect.
I will say, this is such a weird thing to say given how disappointed I am right now, and maybe I shouldn't even be at all optimistic given Nintendo's recent history, but I'm thinking next year is going to be awesome, because the fact that NX is launching next year, as well as Zelda, I'm thinking they'll have an awesome launch title, either Zelda, or if that was delayed or that ends up coming out for Christmas, then maybe we'll have a Mario game for launch. I think next year's gonna be bookmarked with awesome games, either Zelda at launch with Mario later on, or Mario at launch with Zelda later on.
Yeah, I mean, I want to believe that, and I do believe that could be very possible, but I want to gently remind you that I believe we had a very similar conversation after the digital event last year, saying, well, you know what, this was bad right now, But just think about how amazing E3 2016's digital event is going to be with the NX and Zelda. It's going to be so amazing, and now look where we are right now.
I know it's true.
So
that's the worst thing about this is like it's just like soul crushing. Like it's like you can't like I don't even want to get optimistic anymore because this has had such a disappointment right now.
I'm really sad that I've suddenly been kind of, even before E3 is even a thing. It's still 2 months out. That I've been deprived of that Nintendo booth experience. I always look forward to seeing what crazy designs they have, how the lighting's set up. They always have really colorful, awesome booths with all these cool displays of their games and their marquees. And it's just going to be Zelda.
It's all Zelda.
And that's just sad to me.
It's very sad. We thought last year I guess 2 years ago was a little bit rough with having half the booth dedicated to Smash.
Yeah.
And now the entire thing is Zelda. And yeah, and the thing is, too, while I'm sure, again, Zelda very well may be fantastic, I don't think it's going to have quite the replayability that Smash had at E3 either. So.
No, I don't think so either. I think it shouldn't be something where people come out and check it out and they play maybe for quite a while, but then they're done.
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas a Smash, you could play that endlessly.
Yeah.
Although maybe that's a good thing in this case, considering this is, as far as we know, a single-player game, and if that were endlessly replayable, those lines might be horrible otherwise. So.
I wonder if they're right now kicking themselves for just deciding to end the Smash DLC when they did, because that could easily keep hype up among a decent swath of the audience.
Yeah. Throughout
this kind of potential dead period, if they kept releasing more DLC.
Who freaking knows at this point? Maybe there will be more. We already know Nintendo does not care at all about lying.
That's true.
Maybe they will pull something out of the attic and have a new Smash announcement at E3.
How dare you? Why would you even put that out in the universe? Because now I want it to happen.
Derek's going to be really upset now.
Yeah, see, what have you done? You're going to disappoint me and upset him.
I'm already sensing our next discussion. What could Nintendo be announcing for Smash at E3?
Oh, God, let's not even go there. Jeez.
Oh, my God. This is going to be a really short predictions piece for E3. I think we already covered it, so...
Yeah, especially for you, because, Derek and I will usually go over our predictions for, like, Square and PlayStation and whatever, and you'll be like, okay. Yeah.
Well, we have to now. Like, that's all we have to go off of.
It really is. Yeah, wow.
Oh, man. All right. Well, I guess we're done here. I think that covers it. So
I think it does.
Man, it's going to be weird. Weird times, my friend.
Yes, it is.
All right. Well, thanks for watching, guys. If you liked our discussion, hopefully it wasn't too much of a downer. Make sure to like and follow us on Facebook and Twitter at GameExplain. You can find links to them in the description below, which go we keep up to date on everything Nintendo, which may not be much at this point, and other things gaming as well. All right, guys. Catch you later. Bye.